Hey guys, so I just want to take you through what the plan is for next week, for this coming week, I should say, October 21 to 28 in terms of pack strength. So this is week 4 of this second block. That means it's actually been 8 weeks since we last tested. So we work in 4-week cycles. Generally 4 weeks is a good amount of time to be able to apply some progressive overload onto an exercise, which we need to make sure that we keep progressing in terms of applying stimulus for our body composition, but also for strength. But it's not too long that the majority of people get bored with the exercise. That's sort of the balancing act that we always play with. But basically, so some of you are going to be deloading this week, and what that means is that you're going to be having a little bit of an easier week. Some of you will continue on as normal. So the point of the deload is basically to freshen you up. Across your 7 weeks, across the 8 weeks that we've had, you're accumulating a lot of fatigue from session in, day out. More and more fatigue is accumulating in your body. It's not always possible that we recover and adapt from the session before. So this is especially true if you're training 3, 4, 5 and more times per week. If you're only training sort of twice per week, then you're probably not accumulating the fatigue because you should be recovering across the weeks from those 2 workouts. In that scenario, you're not going to need a deload as much as someone that's training more regularly. The other person that's going to need a deload, so we've got the high frequency trainer, and then we've got the person that trains or has a longer training age. So a bigger training age, meaning that they've been training for a longer period of time. Now, this comes into play because their absolute numbers are going to be higher. So even if someone's 1RM is 30 kilos versus someone that's 150 kilos, that person that's 150 kilos, even though they're 1RMs or both of them, it's the heaviest weight they can lift, that person with a higher absolute number is still going to accumulate more fatigue than the person that's lifting not as much weight. So that's another consideration. And then how consistent have you been the past 8 weeks? If you've had a week off, been on holidays, if you've missed sessions here and there because of whatever reasons, then you're not going to need a deload as much as someone that has been super consistent week in, week out across the 8 weeks. And then the other consideration, well, just one other one, there's heaps of considerations, but is, what's going on outside of training. If you've been training a couple of times per week and you're sort of, on the edge of not sure whether you need a deload or not, but you've also got a shitload of stress from work or at home, then you're much more likely to benefit from a deload. Another good way to tell if a deload is going to help you is if the weights have been feeling heavy and they don't normally feel heavy at that weight. So a couple of people have commented this past week how certain weights have felt heavy for them and it doesn't normally at that weight. That's a very good indication that it's time for a deload. It means that your body is at the point where you need to take a step back to be able to move forward and to unmask that fatigue. So if you're just starting out, if you've only been training with us for 4, 6, 7, 8 weeks, it's unlikely that we pushed you hard enough yet that you need a deload. So that's a little bit of a rundown of the reasons why we deload, I guess, and who will be deloading. In terms of the programming, the people not deloading, so you're going to be still doing the same percentages as we did last week. So those top percentages were 90% on some of the days, 87%, 83% depending on the lift. We're actually doing the same numbers, but we're going to try and add on an extra rep, one extra rep. So we're still overloading all the way to till testing week the following week. those that are deloading, we're basically going to be doing pretty much the same number, okay, as last week, but where you're doing 4 reps, we're only going to be getting 2 to 3 reps, okay? So those sets should feel a bit easier, and you're also going to be doing 1 less set. So instead of 4x4 accumulating 16, or 5x4, sorry, accumulating 20 reps last week, and more with the max rep set, you're only going to be accumulating about 8 to 12 reps this week at that same weight. So it's a lot less systemic load going on. So hopefully that makes sense. We will tell you if you're going to deload or not. We've had big discussions about who should deload, who shouldn't, in terms of how you've been going in sessions, how consistent you've been with training. So this is all a thought out process, okay? I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys this week and then smashing it the week after.